Chilling tales for dark nights.
Knuckle's Supper, written by Stepek, performed here by Jason Hill. Chapter 25, Butchers. The cloth-loaded hockey Herman and me into two separate church bookmobiles, packed with 5 Catholic soldiers, plus a driver and a co-pilot in each. Inside the trucks, used books were stacked everywhere, creating makeshift chairs for all of us. Although we were shackled for the trip, they didn't seem too spooked by us because not only did they constantly point out the kill devices around our necks, they were armed like Nicaraguan Contras. The rent-a-priests were dressed in a strange variation of their standard cloth attire. The outfits were more military-inspired, with pockets for shotgun shells and knife caddies and the like. "How much money do you guys actually put toward the church?" I asked. The fake priest directly across from me wiped his nose in his sleeve. "What does that mean?" "Well, I know we're not rolling up in tanks or anything, but these..." I picked at my collar. "And these..." I pointed down the line at all 5 of them. "And the jail, and the shelter... It all seems kind of expensive. Do your parishioners know you waste money on... demon slaying?" "We are the parishioners of St. Matthew's," Not Tim said, riding shotgun. "We're the police." "Figures," I thought to myself. "The actual police, or like the dream police?" "Keep him quiet," the driver injected. "It's okay, Shane," the priest across from me answered before turning to me. "We use our own money for the good of the city and the believers." We hit a bump and a book fell out of a stack into my lap. I read the title aloud. "The Nightshade Chronicles. The Night Bringeth Life." The cover had L. Byron Nightshade crouching with his lover dying in his arms. He was wearing a vest but no shirt. His six-pack was airbrushed to protrude beyond anything humanly or inhumanly possible. With a gleam, I asked, "Why would you give this garbage out to kids if you kill vampires?" The priest across from me pressed his gun against my head as he took the book out of my hand. "These are good. The author is a very charitable member of the Catholic Church." "Why?" "So you can create more characters?" The priests all looked at each other confused. Obviously, they didn't know the truth about the demons they were hunting. I suppose in Fat Mac's defense it was easier to keep his soldiers hunting Satan's children without letting them know he let us loose on the world. I changed gears. "Where's the habit? I thought she was coming along for the trip." "The junkie? She's meeting us there." The priest that spoke laughed and nudged his neighbor. "What was that for?" I asked. "What was what for?" The neighbor chuckled. I mimicked their actions. "You just elbowed your buddy and laughed. It doesn't take a top-notch detective to know something is up." "Don't worry about it, demon," he said, almost unable to control his chuckling. "Okay," I said, rolling my eyes. If I didn't have so much hate for that low-life bitch and everything she had done to Herman and me, I would have told her that she was being led to the slaughter just like the rest of us. I only hoped that Pico and Bait were still there. Since I convinced Fat Mac that she was a necessary and innocent life to be spared, I figured Herman and me would go in and nab her as we annihilated the Wangers. Our truck came to a stop and the driver and not Tim exited the vehicle. I watched the weekend deacons across from me let down their guard for a split second to pray. Each of them made the sign of the cross like a Mexican soccer team before they ran onto the field. The roll-up door opened on my left side. One by one, they began leaping from their seats out of the back. One of them stayed in the truck with me. No funny stuff. He started toward me with keys in one hand and a .357 Magnum pointed between my eyes in the other. All the guards outside the truck readied their microphones to their lips. One false move, and my neck would have become a Dixie cup in a mosh pit. The priest in the truck with me unlocked the cuffs on my feet quickly, almost carelessly dropping his keys, and then rebounded to unlock the cuffs around my wrists. I rubbed the sweat buildup off my arms. As he scraped the revolver's scope across my cheek, he exited the bookmobile. "You guys have nothing to worry about," I assured them as they continued to chaperone me. "I want this to be done just as much as you do." "Get out." Slowly, not Tim instructed. With my hands in the air, I hopped off the back gate of the truck. From behind them, 7 more fake priests approached us with Herman. A few laser pointers lit up on my body. "Turn away from them," Shane coached me as he nudged me with the cattle prod. As I turned, Herman lowered his head into a circle of guns. He didn't make a sound. His lumbering body settled in the center of the army. The habit, stumbling, caught my ear. I heard her run her cokehead bullet fingernails down Herman's reef-like skin. "Looks like the big monkey is under control, boys. Good job." "Hey, bitch!" a black priest yelled, his shotgun cocked. I guessed at her and not Herman. "Sorry," she spat at him. "I didn't mean it like that." "Man, I know who you are, bitch," he continued. "I've seen that Amos and Andy show you were on. Racist bitch." I was shuffled around by 2 of the priests from my mobile. One of the other soldiers grabbed the barrel of the black priest gun and pointed it back at Herman. The big man's shoulders twitched a little. I don't know if he was laughing because he knew she was about to get hers, or if he was trying to balance the fury that he was almost certainly about to unleash. "Hey, RJ," the habit said. She didn't look as muddy-minded as she had the night she paid us a visit in jail, but she was still wearing that dumb nun's habit like it was a uniform. I think it had a couple of barf stains on it. Fat Mac probably spent the last couple of days trying to wean her off the shit, much like he had with me. He also probably made her all kinds of dishonest promises. Her stench and sounds made me wish that I had never gotten involved with her. I wished that I never wanted to screw her either. Even a hate fuck was too good for that ignorant gash. The habit stayed further away from me, behind my captors. "How does it feel, RJ?" she asked. I yawned. "How does what feel?" "How does it feel that it's come down to this? You working for me, ordered to kill your own kind, working for the star that captured the imagination of America's little girls. Dag-nabbit." The black priest followed her with his eyes, waiting patiently for the right moment to crack her little neck. Rather than alert her to the fact that she was being thrown to the bats herself, I simply answered, "Lame." I ignored her and addressed Shane. "What's the plan?" He pointed between Herman and me with his gun. "You 2 are going to get them to open the door. Then, after you enter from the front, half of us will follow and sweep from behind, while the rest of us come in through the rear once we know it's safe to enter." I licked my teeth. "So, we're doing all the legwork. There are at least 15 of them in there. All of them are as tough as..." I looked at Herman. "Well, as tough as me. Can we get a little more support than that? Their leader, Nomi, is going to have the girl somewhere I won't be able to get at her." Declaring her allegiance to the real monsters, the habit raised her hand off one of the cloth's members she was using as a crutch and made her signature pouty TV face. "I want to help, dag-nabbit." The black priest curled his lips, disgusted. I turned a deaf ear to her and asked Shane for a stick. Following my lead, he broke off a limb from a nearby tree and handed it to me. I began drawing in the sand between us. There is a long hall that leads to Nomi's room. On both sides of the hall are 4 to 5 fuck rooms. When we burst through the door, which is never heavily guarded by anyone other than a tranny hostess, I will make my way toward the end of the hall. As you all follow, rush the back and cover a different room. Herman lifted his head. "What about me, Reynolds?" "They're going to follow directly behind me and just wreck everything that comes near us." I pointed to the priest in the habit. "The less of us who die in the first 5 seconds, the better chance we have of getting the kid. And the kid is what Fat Mac wants." Herman nodded and asked, "What if he's there?" Knowing he was referring to Eldritch, I said, "Why, are you afraid of him? The guy is the biggest pussy I know." The Habit twirled a gun around her finger, then stopped. "Wait, who is he? Are we walking into some kind of ambush?" I dropped the stick. "Yeah, dumbass, we communicate with each other telepathically. This has been our plan since you trapped us." I rolled my eyes. "We're just as likely to die here as all of you." The priests looked at each other as if I was informing them of some special vampire powers they hadn't been briefed on. The Habit licked the end of her gun. "Fuck you, RJ." "And Herman," I said, picking the stick back up. "He's not in there. It's too late for him not to be bar hopping or holding a super secret meeting with his agent or something." Herman didn't laugh. "Do they have security cameras around the perimeter?" Real Tim asked. "No. They're a bunch of wasted transvestite prostitutes. Why would they have security cameras?" I just, he stumbled over the words. "Trust me, they don't need any security besides themselves." As stealthy as 14 guards in priest outfits, a junky nun impersonator, a 7-foot Rasta in a hockey helmet, and dopey old me could be walking across the lawn of a recreation center, we approached the house. One of the priests signaled for half of the group and the Habit to go around the tree line next to the house, parkside. The rest of us prepped ourselves curbside. Herman and I walked toward the door. "You ready, my man?" I asked, flicking his hockey helmet. "What's up with the jive, Reynolds? Talk normally, quit frontin'." He looked at me through the razors covering most of his face. "We don't really have a choice other than being dead, do we? You better not be under the control of a gooch, Reynolds." I sighed, realizing that I made a mistake telling Cobra about the voice. There is no gooch. The gooch told you to say that. I shook my head no and knocked on the door. Platform shoes snapped down the tile toward us and stopped just on the other side of the door. The hostess sang out. "Who is it?" I looked at Herman. "It's King Cobra, motherfucker, open the door." The hostess hesitated. Herman began beating his fists against the wood. After 10 seconds passed, he said, "We can't wait any longer, Reynolds." He stepped in front of me, tore off the Christmas lights using his fists like sledgehammers. He barreled through the door. Quickly set in motion like a linebacker, he plowed over the door and the hostess became trapped under it. Not ready to be announced at a party we weren't invited to, I called out, "Herman, wait!" It was too late. The game clock had started. Play ball. It would just be a matter of seconds before the Batwangers swallowed us. I stepped on the door. The hostess peered out from underneath. I stomped my right boot into his face, shifting my heel under his neck and popped his head off. The insides of his neck jumped out as I put more pressure on the door, like his body was a novelty can of nuts filled with snakes. I skated off the door and followed Herman, who was knocking on every door he passed as he made his way to Nomi's lair. One by one, the fuck rooms opened as we ran past. Shotguns exploded behind me as my half of the posse unloaded into the open doors. Crumbs of buckshot whizzed all around my head. Before Herman reached Nomi's door, 2 naked wangers vaulted from their doors and positioned themselves in front of him. Herman locked on to both of their necks with his giant hands and pulled them down to his legs. He simply crushed their skulls by dropping his knees to the floor. Their cerebellums waterfalled off his muscles onto his shoes as he got back up. Shaking myself away from his hypnotic violence, I noticed that the rest of the drones had come out of their rooms. One jumped on Herman's back as the other headed toward the priests and me. Empty shotgun shells bounced off the floor and thumped at my calves as heads were picked off the trannies in front of me. 2 wangers who avoided the firefight jumped toward me and grappled me to the ground. Still stimulated from pleasing the fetishists cowering in their rooms, both wangers' hard dicks folded as they touched my stomach. I grabbed onto one of the cocks and tore it off. I shoved it into his mouth and I kicked him away from me. He fell backward in shock. Immediately, one of the priests leapt on top of him and filled his face with lead. I fixated on my other assailant who was trying desperately to wrap his arms around my neck and snap it. The cloth, still startled by the suddenness of the attack, shot up the walls and the furniture, blowing up refinished alien accessories rather than people. They probably thought the furniture was alive. I got into a crouching counter-move to my aggressor's attempts and pivoted him under me. He cried out, "Why? Why, RJ? Why are you doing this?" My body felt cold. I knew him. He grew up in the same stinky alley as me. "I'm sorry," I said. As he begged for answers and mercy, I trampled his cries by pinning his head to the ground sideways. I closed my eyes and then clobbered away at his face with my forearms. I felt squirts of his blood drench my face as his begs for mercy fell silent. I opened my eyes. In my mission to quiet him and forget who he was, I had completely severed his face in half below his nose. Two of the priests rolled up in front of me and began clearing the rooms. I heard shots and figured they were deliveries from God to sinning humans who sought the company of transvestite vampires. "There's no back door," a voice rang out into our bedlam. "Just stay there," I yelled back. While I kicked the dead tranny aside, I saw Herman crash through the door to the center of the hive. I raced down the hall to search for bait, looking in every room I passed. "Fuck you, Cobra!" Nomi shrieked. I made my way into the Queen's realm. Herman stood at the end of the bed. Nomi lay on his side in a metallic silver teddy reading a magazine and smoking one of his long cigarettes. Herman turned to me. "Should I?" he mouthed. I held up my hand for him to be patient. "Where's bait?" I asked, entering farther into the room. Nomi licked his fingers and paged through the magazine. Next to him was the corpse of his latest lonely victim and an empty syringe. He put down the magazine and sank his teeth into a testicle. "RJ, I thought you were dead." He swayed, blasé to our storming of his castle. His eyelashes flickered out his half-closed lids and eyes that rolled in ecstasy. "What do you want?" I turned my head backward to the door behind me, holding it up like a stop sign to signal the cloth to stay away. The alien tentacles lit up the room and the weavings above the canopy spun its web. "Well?" he asked. Herman studied the room as if he'd never been inside the belly of the beast and then backed down from the edge of the bed, giving him a clear shot at Nomi. I asked again, "Where's bait?" Nomi crunched away on the gonad. "That little hooker?" "Yeah, Nomi. Where is she?" He swallowed his treat, took a drag off his cigarette, and then ashed on the dead John. Before he brought the smoke back to his mouth for another puff, he dipped the holder into the guy's missing pelvis. He thought for a second. "I think I turned that bitch out, RJ." I stretched my neck and readied my fists. "I told you not to." I made my way to the bed, scratching my arms after seeing another syringe, this one half full of heroin, wrapped up in the satin bed cover. "I run this town now, RJ. You've been, gone or something." I avoided looking at the heroin. "Where's the girl, Nomi?" No. I gave her to the Perrys or something. You know, those boys." He patted his hand against the mattress. "Now get over here, slave. I'm your master now." As he exited the room, Herman called back. "Come on, Reynolds. He's too wasted to do anything for us. The girl ain't here." He was right. Bait wasn't there anymore. I turned from Nomi and followed Herman back through the hallway where the cloth stood diligently waiting. Shane shrugged and said, "There is no human teenager here. We checked all the rooms and a shed out back." "Where's the bitch?" Herman asked him. "She took off a lot earlier. Probably knew we were going to kill her," the black priest answered. I stepped over the bullet-ridden bodies on the floor. "Get back here, RJ. Suck my tits, faggot." Nomi screeched from the bed, delirious. "I own you, RJ. Who's the faggot now? Unaware that all his friends and worker bees had been dismantled in less than 5 minutes and that the cloth was standing inside his house, Nomi continued to yell. I own you, asshole. I own Hollywood now. Have at it, I said to the Black Priest and Shane. They surged into the Queen's lair and, without hesitation, unloaded every single piece of ammo they had left in their guns. Before they reloaded us into our separate bookmobiles, the cloth lit the whorehouse on fire. To the cheers of his comrades, one of the priests whooped, "Begone, demons!" Good evening. This is Jason Hill, host of the Horror Hill podcast. You've been listening to a chapter from the award-winning novel Knuckle Supper by best-selling author Drew Stepek. Knuckle Supper, Ultimate Gutter Fix Edition, and its critically acclaimed sequel, Knuckleballed, are available now from Bloodbound Books. Check out the links in the video description and sticky comments below to pick up a copy today and show your support for indie horror. Also, please consider making a donation to Children of the Night today and help end teen prostitution and human trafficking. Children of the Night is a privately funded non-profit organization established in 1979 with the specific purpose of providing intervention in the lives of children who are sexually exploited and vulnerable to, or involved in, prostitution and pornography. Visit childrenofthenight.org for more information today. From author Drew Stepek and all of us here at Chilling Tales for Dark Nights, thanks for listening and for your support.
Chilling Tales for Dark Nights.